Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Aegis Marauders League. We have arrived to the playoffs, and we are about to get started with our first best of five series. My name is Moose, and I'm joined today by Tiger. Tiger, how's it going?
Going pretty well. Early casts today coming in, but of course that's because we are in the playoffs. The best of fives have begun.
They have, and we have the treat of going in and casting one of them today. If you guys can't tell, I am a little under the weather. I don't know what happened, but I somehow caught something over the weekend. So I'm here, but if you guys notice me a little nasally or whatever it may be, that's what's going on. But we are here to talk about Primal Instinct Masters versus Pride Stalker Esports. Interesting development to start things off. It is going to be a 3-ban loss for an E-sub for Primal Instinct Masters. Going to be a major factor here in this series, not having those first bans. And what do you think that that's going to do for Pride Stalker and their chances of being able to win this series?
Well, definitely gives them a little bit of a boost. I think that might put us closer to an expectation of a level playing field, actually. Primal Instinct, one of the top teams that have to play in the first round here. And Pride Stalker making it through to the group stage or to the elimination stage. Definitely a credit to all 12 teams that have gotten this far, but they are one of the underdogs. So maybe getting that little extra boost will make this series a little more interesting.
So, interestingly enough, Primal Instinct Masters losing to Dorado Gaming Zeta in their first week of qualifiers. Of course, Dorado Gaming falling short, actually, in the qualifiers week 3 to Area of Effect Esmond. So, the team that put Primal Instinct in potential danger of getting disqualified, not actually going to be a threat here in this first round. The same thing to go for Primal or for Pride Stalker. Pride Stalker's team that they went up against in week 1, I believe was, if I can move around correctly. Um, God, I'm falling apart over here. Anyway, a lot of I think both these teams, the team that they lost to in the qualifiers, didn't actually make it into the playoffs. So interesting to see that kind of happen here as we move into the draft. Pride Stalker Esports, of course, going to have all of those bans. We do have Primal Instinct going to be over on the red side. So not only does Pride Stalker get to pick or get to ban out the first 3 bans, but they're going to have their first B1 pick uncontested as well.
That's always a very daunting task to go up against if you are the team that's lost the bans. We'll see how this gets navigated by Primal Instinct. I definitely think that could be a big factor in how drafts go, and I'm a big fan of seeing how the teams draft. So hopefully, there's going to be some good counter picks available. I'm a red side enjoyer. I think that having counter pick is always advantageous, but it's a lot less so when you can't ban out the best champions in the meta, because the best champions are the best champions because they are harder to counterpick. And you can also, as the blue side, ban out the counters to the very strongest champions and make them even stronger.
So I'm looking at the bans that we've seen against Pride Stalker in these recent games, especially going into the qualifiers, Rewolf, University of Minnesota, and Elementals. Looks like Pride Stalker having a little bit of ban towards the bottom side and in the top side of the rift. First 3 bans in a lot of these games, having that Zaya taken away from Heyoger. I believe in all of the games that Heyoger has won, has had that Zaya been taken away at some point or another throughout that series. Also seeing a lot of top lane bans. The Gangplank seeing a lot of action getting banned out, seeing a little bit of the Wukong, the Gragas getting taken away. So interesting to see what they're going to be able to pick up here in B1. For Primal Instinct, we are looking, I think, also at the top side of the rift. A lot of dynamic picks for Spirit. with the Jax, the Cassante, the Ornn, the Olaf, having a lot of success with the Malphite as well. So, really dynamic top lane pickups for both of these teams. And I'm curious to see if that's going to be indicated here as we move into the draft itself. But regardless of that, what in a best of five series, I know we talk about like I've talked about game ones before, like how important it is to set the stage. What do you think the most important thing about winning game one is for a team going into a best of five?
Well, going into game one, I think that the most important thing is to stay true to your team's identity. See if just playing straightforward will work. You can make adaptations throughout the series if going to put your best foot forward doesn't actually get you to the game one win. You can help out your draft by trying to counter some of the things that the other team's doing. But just going into game one, you want to be able to see if your identity is going to work, because if it does, then that forces the other team to respond to you.
And we have now begun the draft here. The playoffs are underway for the AML. This is a best of five. And Prize Stalker Esports going to get their first three bans and their first pick. They're going to take away the J4, the Milio, and the Annie, and they will immediately pick up the Jinx. Now, in the early stages of the AML, Jinx was not even a priority threat. It was a lot of the Xayah and a lot of the Zeri that we were seeing. As the meta has shifted, Jinx has been a lot more prioritized here and is a solid B1 pick. Primal Instinct now looking to be able to go for what they can go for. And it does look like that Wukong, which has also been highly contested throughout this season, is going to be the first pickup along with that Thresh.
Definitely some aggressive champions there. Good setup. I also like taking the Thresh away from the Jinx. That probably forces a Lulu pick out. Gonna be Braum instead. I don't know about the Braum here. Usually you want to pick Braum into teams that have some big projectiles. Maybe it's pre-picking it to try to force Primal Instinct away from something like an Ornn. But into Wukong and Thresh themselves, that's not getting a whole lot of value. So really going to be interesting to see how the rest of the draft develops for Pride Stalker.
So now Primal Instinct is also going to get their most played mid lane champion, especially in the qualifiers, with Jadrian picking up that Ari, and has performed very well in crunch time situations. In just the last four games against Dorado Gaming Zeta and Rewolf Esports, Primal Instinct Masters did take wins off of both of them with the Ari, 10-1 and 6 and 14-1 and 14 in the two games with Rewolf Esports, and having pretty similar effects with or against Dorado Gaming Zeta. So I think feeling really comfortable with the picks that they got here despite losing out on three bans.
True, and Ari has been a very strong pick in very high levels of play right now, alongside the Wukong. You just have a lot of mobility that way. I'd like to see a Poppy ban, because I think Poppy would be very strong for Pride Stalker if they were to pick her up. But I think that as far as Ari Wukong goes, that gives you options of trying to find pick. You can disengage. There's a lot of different ways that you can flex your team composition. So I really like this style of the first half of draft here from Primal Instinct, because they've given themselves a lot of options moving into the second half, and they haven't picked their build around champion just yet, where they're trying to focus all on one champion. They've given themselves the option to find the right one in R4 or R5. I'd imagine they're going to pick an ADC right here and then get that counter pick in the top lane.
Yeah, for that, you do have the Zeri. You could go for something like a Twitch, for example. There is an E-sub, so remember that Meals is going to be coming in for Primal Instinct. So we'll have to see if that is going to make any changes in terms of the draft here as we move into the later stages of this game one draft. Also, keep in mind that Gragas from Pride Stalker is flexible. It can go into the top lane or into the mid lane here. The Vayne is going to get locked in. We've seen the Vayne Thresh before. Dorado Gaming Zeta playing that, or go play, or having to play against that from Primal Instinct in the second week of qualifiers. Looking down throughout the remainder of their regular season, have not seen it at all. So only one game on record with this Vayne Thresh, and it went pretty well: 0-0 and 13, and 7-2 and 3 for the Thresh and Vayne, respectively.
I definitely think that the vein is a spicy pickup here. I think that for Primal Instinct, unless it's flexible towards the top lane, which you never know, I think that that puts them in a losing bot lane situation. But not all of the time when you're playing Jinx do you expect to be winning lane. So I think it's important for Pride Stalker to recognize that they do have the winning bot lane here and make sure to try to press that advantage early on. I would even like to see maybe a level one invade. You got Braum. Braum's got very good setup. Gragas as well with some solid CC at the level one. There's some opportunities to try some of these early game advantages, but with the way that Primal Instinct have flexed their draft, it's clear that they are playing for the scaling. They're playing for the team fights, and they're going to even pick the Silas counter pick for Malphite into the top lane for sprint.
They are. And that is, I think, really, really strong for them. I think draft wise, in game one, Primal Instinct did navigate this one very well. Unless we're getting something very crazy here and there is going to be some swapping in the lanes, I do expect that we are going to be seeing the Silas versus the Malphite and then the Gragas in the jungle to go up against the Wukong. A lot of frontline for your Jinx, a lot of mobility coming in from your Yone for Pride Stalker, and the opportunity to get some of those early game objectives in the bottom side of the Rift. I do think that they are lacking in the clear department for the Rift Herald on the top side, but overall, both these drafts looking pretty stable here. A lot of team fight synergies for Pride Stalker, a lot of pick potential coming in for Primal Instinct, and the makings of a good game one.
I'm really excited to see how this Thresh works out for Primal Instinct. I think that it's going to be very important. They've got a lot of execution based champions. So landing hooks, landing flays, and putting up good boxes, that's going to be very influential in this game, maybe as well, using the lantern offensively to find some good flanks, or also you can use it defensively. I think that Thresh is one of the best champions in competitive, quite frankly, just based off of all of the utility, the different types of utility as well that he brings. And I think that in a situation where you don't have a big front line, you don't have like a lot of great setup for your team, you're trying to kite back a lot with this team comp. You want to run away from the Malphite. You want to run away from the Gragas, the Yone. Make sure that they don't get that first kill and give the Jinx the reset. So with the way that this is working out, they need to be able to utilize their key abilities quite effectively. They've got a lot of good tools to run away, but I think that it's going to be all about whether they know what's coming in and can respond properly. If we see a good Malphite ult come in, a good Gragas ult come in from out of vision, then there's almost nothing that Primal Instinct can do about it, and it's just going to be a reset right away, and Pride Stalker, in all likelihood, sweeping the fight away.
Yeah. So the one thing that I want to look at here is Meals coming in on this ADC role, a substitute for Primal Instinct. I just did a little bit of searching. Well, you were talking about Meals and their performance so far in season 2023. Barring any scrims or custom games, because I can't see that, we're looking at only 4 games of Vayne played here in season 2023 and a decent record of the Vayne in season 20 or in season 12 2022. We've got a 12 or 20 and 15 score line for them in 2022, and in 2023 not really having a lot of games there played. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a problem for them moving forward. How much has the skill on Vayne atrophied in the last couple of months? It could not be atrophied at all, and this could be just an easy comfort pick formulas moving into game one, but I'm excited to see how well both these teams are going to be playing out. These teams are fighting for their tournament lives, having to take this win and having to win this series in order to move on to the next stage of the playoffs. A couple of other teams played today, or a couple of the teams are playing today. We've also got the Vespa B team versus Team Ambition Shogun, Rewolf Esports versus Stacked Deck, who had a upset win against Genius Uprising in the last week of qualifiers, and then Death Card versus Area of Effect Esmond. Of course, the four remaining teams did get a bye for this first week, so a lot of games, a lot of important games being played today.
Yep, definitely keep an eye out for any other streams of the matches. Hopefully, we're gonna have a good one here, so stay with us as well. But
I agree.
I've sometimes in the past I've gotten like 4 games all going at the same time. I'll put them in different corners of my screens. If you got multiple monitors, you got a phone, pull that out. Yeah,
No
so there's
way.
going to be a lot of good action going on. So hopefully, all of the teams are going to get a good opportunity to be seen by everyone. And I think that there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming up in the AML as well throughout the playoffs.
So I want to do something different for our dragon picks for the Soul and Rift here in the playoffs. I want to just sweep away our terrible predictions that we had in the regular season. And I want to do something different here for the playoffs. I want to do it like I think we both have admitted that our dragon predictions, our soul predictions, when we could just pick one dragon, has been lackluster at best. So what I would like to do is a draft style on these dragons for these games. So what we'll do is you'll pick one dragon, I'll pick two dragons, you pick two more dragons, and then I get the last dragon. And whoever has the dragon soul of the three dragons that they played will get the points for that one. We'll see who has the most points at the end of the playoffs. How does that sound to you, Tiger?
That sounds completely fair. I think that both of us will get equal opportunity there, and then neither of us will look like the fool because at least one of us will be right, unless one person is sweeping away all the drakes. All right, so I'm starting it off. I'll pick Hex Tech.
I'll go Chemtech and Cloud.
Tech and Cloud. That sounds like a nifty combo. I guess that I'll just take away the other blue one in the ocean, and I guess that I'll take the Infernal as well.
All right, so then I'll take Chemtech, Cloud, and Mountain here for this first game. I'll make sure to keep track of it on a little notepad here that I'll build up, and we'll see who has the most points at the end of the playoffs. Well, maybe we'll come up with something fun that we could give each other or something. We'll figure it
Yeah.
out. But with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to be jumping into this first game of the AML. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Marauders League. The playoffs have begun. This best of five now underway between Stalker Esports and Primal Instinct Masters. Primal Instinct with the advantage coming into this one with 3 free bans that Primal Instinct did not. And as we move into this first round, it didn't really feel like the drafts made much of a difference in how these teams decided to play out this first game. A lot of these players got champions that they wanted, that they're comfortable with, and they're looking to be able to, pop off on here in this first game.
Yeah, we get a little bit of trading here. We'll see if it turns into anything. I imagine not. There's no CC to lock anyone down, so nothing to be seen here. But notes on the runes and summoner spells. We've got Ghost for Heyoger on the Jinx. Gonna try to be able to kite throughout fights. Meals as well, taking that Ghost summoner spell. I might have wanted to favor the cleanse just so you can cleanse flash out of a lot of this stuff, but almost all of the things that you have to be worried about are knockups. So to be fair, cleanse itself doesn't get you that much value for meals. So I respect it. And also with Ghost on Vayne, if you ever get into that situation where you can just run after people, that's just the best feeling. This is the reason that anyone plays ADC at all, is because when you actually get to do your thing, then everyone else in the game is powerless to stop you. So that's kind of the goal here for Meals. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition against a Malphite Gragas Yone front.
Yeah, interesting that we're not seeing any Coles either coming in from Vel or Heyoger or Meals, deciding to just go with the Dornblade and the long swords. The only other thing of note that I would say would be Jadrian's Unsealed Spellbook, really trying to go for a utility style build here on this Ahri, so looking to see how much uptime they're going to be able to get out of that Keystone.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of DPS for the side of Primal Instinct. Ironically, when you got the Vayne, you would expect that to be the team that's going to have a plentiful amount of DPS. But really, if they don't get a ton of damage out from Meals throughout a team fight, I mean, Ahri's pretty burst focused, Sylas pretty burst focused, Wukong can do some amount of DPS, but not really to your frontline tanks. So you've really only got options on the Yone and Jinx. But now we've got a gank top.
Yeah, Sword is in trouble, and he knew it. Burst blood for Thanos-san. Not even a flash used by Sword. It's going to be an easy 400 gold there for Spirit. Or for Sprint, pardon me.
Done. Picked up pretty easily, and Sprint picking that on the R5 counter pick, the Sylas, trying to make the most out of that opportunity to win lane. We can already see that it's a null magic mantle coming out from Sword. This is gonna have to be like maybe Force of Nature first. It's gonna be first or second, I'd imagine. You're also going to look towards maybe getting the Jack show. But I think that it's going to be difficult to play this matchup out to start with, and even that much more so when you're up against the Sylas that now is starting out getting closer and closer to that Roa already.
Yeah, very, very aggressive top lane here coming in from Sprint and Thanos-san. Looking to, like you said, really try to capitalize on Sword being unable to do much of anything against Sprint here on this Sylas. Thanos not even waiting to see if there was any play to happen, as Sword is going to complete the back. He is in a difficult position. He got an old magic mantle. He'll go back with the refillable potion, and still holding on to that teleport, deciding not to go for it just yet. Just trying to survive as long as they can, and kind of sacking the first couple of minutes here of this top lane.
Yeah, we'll see if that ends up coming back to bite him. Not too far behind on CS just yet. Still holding on to the teleport, actually. Has died and recalled, but both times walking back to lane. The wave is slow pushing towards Sword, so that's a little bit of a saving grace there. But falling now behind a little bit in the CS now that Sprint is able to collect the full wave.
Yep, and we'll see how much he's able to get out of this. Malphite not necessarily the easiest clearer Will have a little bit of trouble being able to get all of those minions. We'll have to see how much he does get. Looks like he'll get to within 2 waves before the end of this, but still showing how well Sprint is able to capitalize on the advantage that they were able to pick up, already going towards that Roa. If he's able to continue to keep that momentum going, he could pick up a Rod of Ages pre-10 minutes, which would be really, really impactful. Would probably even win the game for Primal Instinct, just how powerful that could be. Shin getting unlocked for Thanos on here on this Wukong, with the first back coming in from Aegis on the Gragas, picks up the Hextech Alternator. So, things running smoothly on all other sides of the Rift. Sprint the only one with the real clear advantage.
Yeah, and we've got our first Drake now on the map. No immediate takers. Going to be an Infernal to start out. That's not going to help my cause, but that's why we drafted all of the Drakes, right?
Yes.
Got to make sure that at least someone gets it right. Tano-san coming back for a regank top.
Yeah, Sword does have flash this time, though, but he gets knocked up and now is in trouble. Gonna be the flash from Thanos-san to finish the job, and we'll get it. The flash word coming in from Aegis, though, to almost pick it up, but Sprint comes in with his own explosive Gonna just be a disaster for Primal or Pride Stalker. Aegis will at least be able to take down Sprint, but that's 2 for 1 in favor of Primal Instincts.
Nice little shutdown going over to Aegis, especially when you've got the Dark Harvest. You want to get those, but I think that the big play, getting level 6 there for Sprint, getting the 2 kills now on the Silas, that's where he wants to be. Vel looking for a little bit of a roam this way. Still all summoners available. Flashing
in the Soul and Malgant, of course, a flash out of Commissioner and Meals at the same time. So flash and ult for 2 flashes. Probably a good trade there for Pride Stalker, going to give a little bit of relief towards their bottom lane.
Yeah, definitely looking at that as their main source of power throughout this game. It's a big Jinx carry angle. You, of course, have the option if Vel gets ahead of looking towards some big Yone plays. Sprint now in the top lane, getting some trades down. Of course, that's what's always happening in the top lane, so I should know better than think that's going to turn into anything very quickly.
Yeah, and, we're starting to see that big CS advantage coming in for Heyoger to start things off. A 15 CS advantage at 7 and 45 minute mark is not half bad. Rift Herald spawning in 10 seconds, something that Primal Instinct could look to pick up here and start to catapult their lead even further for Sprint. As we do get a play, we've got Jadrian coming through. Unstoppable Force is available for Silas to maybe try to find a pickoff here onto this Malphite under tower. It would be a bit of a risky dive, but with Jadrian there, they could potentially do it. They're going to decide to back off, but just the presence of the Ahri is enough for Sword to feel uncomfortable and most likely give Primal Instinct this dragon. Let's see if they do decide to go for it. The minions are pretty much all gone. They will decide to back off, just getting the Rift Herald as their reward.
Going to be a trade cross map. Quite a bit of time invested there by Jadrian, so probably going to drop at least a few minions. Going to get help back to lane from Commissioner on the roam. Came up to make sure that the Rift Herald was going to be secured. So probably about an even trade cross map, and now Sprint going in.
Unstoppable Force going to land on a Vel, and Jadrian will pick up that kill. Going to be able to be closer to that mythical item. And increasing the gold lead now to 2.3k, immediately dropping the Rift Herald in the mid lane.
Going to be able to expand further upon it. We see the individual gold, about 1,000 for Jadrian there, over 1,000 for Sprint. Of course, in the bot lane, it is favorable for Heyoger, but not by quite as much. Now a play coming in mid.
Sword trying to go for it, unable to get the Unstoppable Force there, and does get the flash out of Jadrian, but overall, a good play for Primal Instinct, as they seem to be the one in the control of this early game.
Yeah, getting a lot of value in multiple areas of the map, taking some tower plates. It's going to have them up by 2,500 gold already. It's a little bit surprising to see it such a big number when the CS gap bot is as such, but it's the case. And that means that it's going to be difficult to fight here, although if they can get a pick, that would certainly help them out.
It does really feel like Pride Stalker is just kind of fishing at this point. They tried to go for the play in the mid lane using the Unstoppable Force, just gets flashed immediately by Jadrian. You go for the Glacial Fissure from Northman. That whiffs completely, so not able to find those plays and get those picks on to anybody on Primal Instinct. You lose out on those ultimates and continue to feel like you're on the back foot here. When does Pride Stalker feel like they can start to come online again? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they really want to group up at some point. They want to get to the point where their carries have enough items to get some kills. Of course, right now there are no completed items for anyone on Pride Stalker, of course, except for some tier 2 boots. Looking for a play top.
All right, and they're going to try to find it. They're on to Sprint. Sprint will go down. Aegis will pick up that kill. A nice pick onto an overcommitted Silas.
Gonna be enough for Roa, but Commissioner coming in.
Let's not finding anything there. Just kind of backing off, back and forth. But overall, though, yeah, not going to be able to get it though. But with Pride Stalker now looking to be able to kind of, get back onto the right foot, Commissioner landing another death sentence there. It's still a 2.5 thousand gold lead there for Primal Instinct, and you did pick up the Roa at around the 10 minutes, along with that Everfrost in the mid lane for Jadrian. So, capitalizing on the advantages in gold that you do have in your solo lanes, which does feel really good for Primal Instinct as they continue to move into the mid game.
Yeah, they want to make sure that they're keeping this advantage up. They have the burden of execution here. They've got the difficult champions. They've got all the mobility.
Oh, and we got another body slam landing in on a Sprint. Overcommitted once again, or not checking the brush. Forcing the flash out. It's going to be a flash out of sword, and that's going to be Sprint going down.
Apparently not able to steal the Malphite. Kano-san going to at least try to clear the way, but Jadrian's here too.
Charm's gonna come in, and that's an easy kill for Thanos-on.
And now we've got to play bot as well. AD carry trades coming down, fighting all over the map. Heyoger able to at least land the super mega death rocket on the way out, and Commissioner's gonna have to execute because Vel's here as well. That means that Primal Instinct giving over a few more kills. Some of that gold, of course, going on to Eric Northman, but I think that for the side of Pride Stalker, they'll take any advancement towards the late game they can get.
Oh, yeah. Really strong kills there, at least getting a kill on to Heyoger. You did get the Night Harvester for Aegis, who's now on a killing spree as well. So, overall, a good bounce back, and that's what we like to see here in the playoffs.
Already starting to rotate lanes. I love to see that. I'm a big advocate of getting your bot duo towards the mid lane so that your support can roam either direction. And when you've got another Drake coming up here in 10 seconds, it's going to be pretty important to get that mid lane prio. It's going to be a Chemtech Drake here on number 2. And we can check the individual gold again, see that the leads have increased in their respective areas. And teams getting set to fight over this Drake.
Yeah, it is that Chemtech Drake. So both of us losing out on one Drake, unfortunately. So it is going to be an even game moving into the Soul that's going to be spawned up very soon. Primal Instinct does have the advantage, though, with river control and clearing out some of those deep wards.
Going to be started up here by Primal Instinct, maybe just trying to bait out a fight. There's a little bit of vision in the river still for Pride Stalker. We'll see if they can utilize that to find the right angles.
Did land the stun on Eric Northman, the charm to continue, and Jadrian will pick up Eric Northman easily there. Nicely done for Primal Instinct, as we are going to get a Fate Sealed on Emil, so it is going to be a 1-for-1. Drake will be taken by Primal Instinct. It is a Cloud Drake. I get the first point. Let's go.
Cloud too strong. I should have foreseen it, but you're already on the board, so gotta give you some credit there. And credit to Primal Instinct for having a strong early game here. Already got... Oh! But right now, not going to be the case because Aegis just dropping the bomb over the wall. It's going to be a quick kill coming through, and now the kill score pretty even though the gold lead's still in favor of Primal Instinct.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
As we move forward into this one, 7-7 now. Pride Stalker Esports back within 1,000 gold, and now we're starting to see Heogre start to pop off here. I'm actually really worried for Primal Instinct in the ADC department. You know, Meals is behind almost 50 CS at the 15-minute mark.
Looking for the all-in here.
Trying to go in, the Soul Unbound, Vel's trying to escape. Meals gets obliterated. What a play by Vel. Thanos-san gonna try to pick it up, but Vel is still alive. Oh my god, Vel survives.
Nicely done there, and good footwork on the Yone. Now going to be a play mid as well.
Trying to be able to come in, trying to be able to put that through, and gonna be able to back away though. Aegis just landing that barrel, and that's enough to be able to come in and pick up a just that easy kill there for Vel, and showing off the power on that Yone. Now has the Immortal Shield Bow, and with that kill, you reduce the lead to 4K, and now we got Primal Instinct coming in for a play. You're gonna try to collapse in on the 3 members against Pride Stalker. Pride Stalker gonna find it. Avius is unstoppable, gonna be able to pick up that kill. Jadrian's gonna be able to get away, but that was a nice little fancy play coming in from Pride Stalker.
Primal Instinct lucky to get out with just 1 death there. With such a great collapse coming through, the situation made it almost impossible for Pride Stalker to lose that fight. They are able to get 1 kill. Now we're looking for a re-engage.
All right, so that's going to be Heogre going down. Thanos-san with the Cyclone, a nice explosive cast from Avius. So it ends up being a 1-for-1 in the extended play.
Yeah, able to punish the overextension, trying to bring the Rift Herald all the way through. Meals looking for at least an interrupt on the recall and be able to get as much, but no more. And I think that right now, with the aggression from both of these teams, it seems like more fights are imminent as well.
All right, Eric Northman going to try to defend this tower, but he's going to get it by the death sentence, and that might just be a mistake. Meals will take that kill easily, and the tower will fall right after. First tower was down. Pride Stalker gonna get it in the top lane, so no extra gold there, but having that mid lane tower down is gonna open up the rift here for Primal Instinct.
Yeah, we always talk about that, but we rarely get opportunity to talk about why that is. I think that it's important to note that what you want to do when you get that mid-tier 1 down is you want to be able to push that mid-wave out, then get vision in the enemy jungle. That gives you better knowledge of where the enemy team is as a whole, particularly where their jungler is on the clear. Got to be picking up those camps rather consistently, so you do end up having to show yourself when you have the enemy team picking up vision inside your jungle. And that's why you want to get the mid-tier 1 as early as you can, so that you can have that knowledge. Prevents your team from getting picked off in theory, and also allows you to look for your own plays.
We're 18 minutes into the game, and it is now 9-9, almost completely even, as Sprint is going to be caught out once again. Not really getting the ward that they need, and now is going to be in trouble. The explosive cast will drop. Sprint is going to be at 1/4 HP, and Avius is dominating. Jadrian might, no, they will get out. Nice use of the Dark Passage, but teleport consumed for nothing there.
Yeah, gonna be a nice pick coming through for Pride Stalker, and as you say, you can only get the advantage off of the mid-tier 1 take if you actually get that vision expanded out towards the enemy jungle. That time there's an ability to sneak through towards that bot lane from Pride Stalker. They're able to pick up the kill, looking to take out the mid-tier 1 of Primal Instinct. Not going to be able to do so. Third Drake coming up. This is the first of the clouds. Drake's split 1-1 so far, so both sides probably wanting to pick this one up and establish their ability to stack the Drakes.
Let's see who's going to be able to get it. Thanos-san already using that clone, but Pride Stalker Esports now on the hunt. Looking to be able to finish this one off. 5,000 HP for the Drake right now. Sprint try to go in with that unstoppable force. Is going to land it onto the backline, and that's going to be a steal from Thanos-san. Coming in and getting the dragon. Heogre will go down next. The Fate Seal is not going to get too many players, as Jadrian's going to be able to take down the Braum. That's going to be Meals picking up 1 kill against Sword. 3 members of Pride Stalker going down at a play that goes towards Primal Instinct. That's a double kill for Meals and almost a complete ace against Pride Stalker.
And this is the threat Primal Instinct have. If they can avoid getting immediately blown up as a team at the beginning of the fight, then they can go for the re-engage. Meals has the ulting Ghost available. Didn't even have to burn Ghost there to chase down the side of Pride Stalker. And Primal Instinct as a whole able to sweep through some kills. Going to be able to pick up that Drake and the mid-tier 2 as well. Continuing to expand the gold lead. Tano-san not going to be in a great spot though. Just going to be picked out in the enemy jungle. A little bit too much of an overextension there, but, you know, it happens.
So, that was another shutdown that went towards Aegis, now 7-1, godlike on this Gragas. And that's also jungle going down as well. Thanos-san is going to be down for 16 seconds, and Pride Stalkers say, okay, you get inner tower in the mid lane, let's go for a Baron play. It's going to be down to about 6,000 HP right now. Chopper's going to drop, Sword is going to avoid the dark set, or the death sentence, and will land the knockup onto Jadrian. Baron is going to be leashed off, but Jadrian's going to go down, Flash was used, and Pride Stalker Esports going to pick up 2 kills, maybe even a third onto Sprint. They will get a third onto Sprint. Heyoger pick up their next kill on their stat line.
We got ourselves a back and forth affair here, Moose. Both teams going at it, toe-to-toe, head-to-head. Primal Instinct going to look for another collapse onto Eric Northman. Going to try to find the jump, but he's not in range.
Yeah, he's going to go down. Unfortunate for Pride Stalker. Meals is on a rampage, and now it's advantage for Primal Instinct. They're going to teleport Jadrian in, and they got 4 members there. Vel does have Fate still back along with that Flash. Sword can teleport in as well, but hey, Ogre is not going to be part of this fight. Baron might be taken by Primal Instinct because of that overstay by Eric Northman. That's going to be the rocket landing. They're going to know that it's about 4,000 HP. They're going to be able to land the death sentence on to Aegis, and it's a shutdown for Jadrian, who's going to be able to survive. The death sentence lands onto Vel, and Primal Instinct get another play by an overcommittal by Pride Stalker Esports. They'll pick up 2 kills and are going to go back over to Baron.
That's the perfect utilization of Baron pit priority right there. You want to find the turn. You want to be able to shut down the enemy jungler. 8-1 going into that fight for Aegis. But it doesn't matter if you're 100-0 because that means Primal Instinct able to take out the Gragas. And they're going to be able to take out the Baron as well.
Yeah, nicely done. Primal Instinct. I mean, Pride Stalker Esports are probably going to have to look back at that play and see what happened. I mean, Eric Northman just staying a little bit too far in, staying too far long in the Baron pit and getting caught out. Going to mean that Primal Instinct gets the advantage. They take the initiative. They take Baron Nashor, and they increase their gold lead back to about 4K, but it's the 5 members of the squad wearing purple. It's the 3 items on Jadrian that is the big problem right now. The burst damage that can come out of this Ahri paired up with Sprint on the Sylas is just astronomical. And now you're looking at Pride Stalker Esports once again on the back foot.
They're definitely going to want to stall this one out for late. Their wave clear is not fantastic. They can get a little bit of help from the Gragas barrels, but beyond that, they mostly just have one lane. You can put your Jinx anywhere and she'll clear waves pretty decently. But you can't have Jinx in 3 lanes at the same time, so that means that there's going to be collapse towards multiple sides of the rift coming through from Primal Instinct. They're going to want to set up for this next Cloud Drake as well, try to put themselves on Soul Point, and they definitely have the advantage right now in this game.
Now let's see how they can continue to keep this advantage going. They might even try to go for a close play here if they can find the right place. Sprint is going to go in, is going to find a lot of damage on Aegis, and there it is. Sprint's going to go golden and still has an unstoppable force. The unstoppable force from Soul is going to take down Sprint. The Fate Seal is going to land. Oh my god, it's Pride Stalker Esports getting the play that they wanted. They're going to pick up 3 kills, make it even 4. Meals will go down. It's a triple kill for Heyoger.
Aogre able to find the Jinx moment, and it's a great setup. Two-man ulti from Sword, and the engage, it looked like it was going to be good from Sprint, able to get the kill onto Aegis at the beginning of the fight, but that's not the carry you need to take out. You got to watch out for the Yone, for the Jinx, both of them coming in at full health. Sword able to make the setup happen, and as soon as you get that first kill, that's where Pride Stalker want to be. They'll take the second Drake for themselves. They're evening up the count, and they're getting closer to evening up the gold as well.
Yeah, and that's a big play and a big misstep there from Primal Instinct. We're looking at two teams that on the stat lines are relatively even. 8-6 for Primal Instinct in the Void division. In the Shurima division, Prize Stalker Esports also 8-6. So you're looking at a stat record for both these teams that is being, I think, represented here. They're making good plays, they're making aggressive moves, they're making some mistakes that the other team were able to capitalize on, but neither team has been able to develop a clear advantage yet.
Yeah, gonna just be trading blows back and forth continually. We've got a little bit of a respite in terms of objectives, but picks still coming out both ways.
Vel already using a lot of that damage, but Avian's going to come through, and Vel's going to come in with a Fate Sealed. Knockup's going to come in from Sword, but Thanos-san is going to come in with the knockup. That was a very, very damaging explosive cast. Jadron's going to go down, so it ends up being mid laner for mid laner.
We'll see if there's more to be had. Meal's dropping pretty low.
Trying to make it a 1-for-1, but hey, Ogre barely able to survive, and so Prize Stalker Esports once again with the power play.
Yeah, gonna be able to turn that fight around once again, and they're in great position now. The problem for Primal Instinct seems to be that every time they try to go on the offensive, they just get countered. All their comp can do is back away and counterattack, which means that whenever they want to go forwards, they are in trouble, and that's what's been the case here. They need to be able to find some picks and get out cleanly if they want to win this game.
Brent trying to come through, trying to survive a lot of the damage that Hyoger is going for, but Jadron going to go in for the deep flank teleport. A lot of mobility here from both of these teams as we get a teleport now coming in from Vel to make it a traditional 5v5. Meals is a little delayed on this play. So the teleport is going to come in from Vel and Jadrian, but it's just going to be like two ships passing in the night.
We'll see if there's going to be more fighting to be had. It seems like that's been the case all around in this matchup, but still got a little bit more time before the next Drake going to spawn. And we'll see who's going to be able to take that one, because it's all of a sudden become unclear who's in the advantage state. Of course, the big item spikes coming through for Primal Instinct. They're trying to stay ahead of the curve. They've got a lot of burst damage, but they need to be able to find the right targets here in Hyoger and Vel.
Yeah, and we look at the items really quick. You do have the 10 stacks on that Rod of Ages. Sprint now, having that level advantage that you get from that. You've also got a Magi Soul Stealer coming in from Jadrian, who, has popped off a couple of times, has made some plays with that Everfrost to pick up kills, but falling in that top lane play, you lose 10 stacks on that Magi Soul Stealer. It's at the moment a non-valued item. It does absolutely nothing for you except give you a little bit of AP. So I'm curious to see if Jadrian's going to be able to get some of those kills, and quite honestly, if another team fight happens and we see a complete team wipe, that just might be the game for the team that loses it. It's a little unfortunate to see the Magi Soul Stealer not having those multiple stacks like we love to see, and that burst damage that can come with it.
Well, the nice thing about still holding on to it is that if you get into a fight, as soon as you start picking up kills and assists, it stacks up within the fight. You don't have to wait for the charges to come in. So if you get one kill, you're a little more powerful. You get 3 kills, all of a sudden it's a 12 stack Magi's, and you're fully as powerful as you were before, if not more so.
Yeah, and so, it is going to have to boil down to whether or not Jadrian can do that. We've seen them go for these aggressive warding plays where, they've teleported into the Rafter Pit, or they've teleported to, the jungle of Prize Stalker Esports and try to go in for those plays. They're not going to have that available now, but they are going to be ready potentially go for this Baron fight. They're going to have to take a long walk up there, and Prize Stalker Esports have Baron down to 4K.
Already pretty low. They could just try to finish this one off. Here comes the unstoppable force from Sprint. Gonna try to set up the play. Here comes Tano-san trying to find the Cyclones, but they don't have the damage to get this first kill. Vel gonna be able to finish off Meals. That's their DPS gone, but they're still trying to turn it around. Jadrian not gonna be able to find it. Hey Ogre going unstoppable on the Jinx. It's 2-for-1 for Pride Stalker, and they're looking for more. Eric Northman not gonna be able to chase down Sprint, and they will have to retreat. Health bars too low to pick up the Baron, it seems, but they can come back out onto the map and challenge for this Cloud.
Yeah, Vel trying to go in, doesn't get the most value out of the Fate Seal, but the CC was there and was enough, with Sword landing a great play, but the fight is not over yet.
Maybe in trying to contest this Baron. Nice hook from Commissioner, not going to be enough to finish off Eric Northman. No, it will, but Hey Ogre gets the reset. Sprint going to fall as well. It's a double kill for the Jinx, looking to turn it into a triple, and the Flash going to get cleanly out of the hook. A 3-for-1. That's going to be the unofficial ace. They're going to swing right on over to the Cloud Drake, and it's Pride Stalker Esports who have completely turned this game around.
Nicely done coming in from Hey Ogre there, and good peel coming in from Pride Stalker. If you look at that fight, Hey Ogre was either not targeted or unable to take damage, was completely full HP for the majority of that fight, and that is what you want to see when you are playing Jinx. You want to be able to have that free range to get that damage, to stay full HP, and get those resets, and that's what they were able to do there in that fight. Nicely done from Pride Stalker to make sure that their carry stays alive.
And good usage of all of the summoner spells. We see all of these spells on cooldown for Pride Stalker, but they were all up and available when they needed them, and they're going to be coming right back up when they need them again. Looks like they want to force around Baron once again. This is the best way to draw Primal Instinct into a team fight, force them to engage onto you. That's when they've been having all of their success, so Pride Stalker utilizing this knowledge and their win conditions to a high degree of effectiveness, and Primal Instinct still coming up a little bit without answers here, because even when they execute well in the team fights, they've come up short in the last 2 or 3.
Yeah, and, you know, River control and Baron pit control for Pride Stalker once again. They could try to go for a repeat performance like they had in that last game. Let's see if they're going to be able to do it.
Commissioner can't land the first hook, and this Baron's just getting shredded, almost stolen, but no, Aegis going to be able to pick it up. Tano-san deep in the backline trying to get out with the Cyclone, Sword dropping pretty low. Jadrian going to be able to get the first kill, but Hey Ogre has gotten the reset. Jinx full health, double kill for Hey Ogre. The Bomba connects as well. Meals has fallen. It's 4 for Pride Stalker. They're able to pick up the Baron. They're going to look to end now.
Wow, Hey Ogre once again unthreatened in this team fight. The focus on Vel, the focus on Sword, allowing for Hey Ogre to come in and pick up a triple kill to end this game. They will take game 1. They will say, you can have the early advantage, but we're going to have the team fight control, and that's exactly what they got.
Commissioner looking for a miracle play here under the tower. Going to be able to stay alive. A little bit of damage down. Going to hook onto a minion. Vel dropping very low. Almost going to fall. The respawn's just about to come through, but it's too little too late. It's 1 more kill for Hey Ogre, and it's the 8th. And the first game victory going over to Pride Stalker Esports.
Nicely done coming in from Pride Stalker. The early game looking really good for Primal Instinct. They got those early kills on to Sprint in the top lane. They were able to get things going with Jadrian on the Ahri, but unfortunately unable to take down Hey Ogre, who was just so impactful in the late game. Late game Jinx activated, and you know, it really goes to show, I think, you know, where the difference was in Primal Instinct's bottom lane. Meals is that substitute that's coming through. We saw a massive CS advantage for the Jinx throughout the entirety of the game. And once we got into the team fight stage, if you don't target the Jinx, you're going to end up going down every single time. And at the Baron pit, Jinx was able to stay protected the entire time and won those team fights for the team with all the damage that you're able to put down.
Yeah, I mean, Vayne's a pretty mystical champion in terms of win conditions. I think that we were teetering on the precipice here of Primal Instinct, just getting to a point where they could snowball through the rest of the game, utilize that late game power that Vayne has, and shred through some of the tanks. We saw a few winning team fights in the mid game for them. They got early advantages in the top lane and mid lane, but they weren't able to convert on it once we got to the late game. It was a great job by Pride Stalker of setting up plays, forcing an engage in a bad spot out of Primal Instinct, and then responding by punishing hard when they aren't able to take out the Jinx. We even saw a Guardian Angel at the end picked up wisely, I would say, here on the Jinx here. I think that going into game number 2, there's going to have to be a shift in the draft from Primal Instinct. Of course, going to be hard without having the first 3 bans, but if they're able to switch over to blue side, at least they can get a little bit of a reprieve, and maybe they can pick a little bit of an easier to execute team comp as well.
Well, we'll have to see how game 2 does play out. I'm excited to see it. However, I am not going to be casting it. If you guys watched the game, you guys probably heard me. I didn't press my cough button every time. I was dying. I said I thought I could handle this, but I clearly cannot. So I'm going to bow out. We are going to be getting a replacement play-by-play that is coming in to cast this amazing best of 5. I will be in the chat listening in and chatting with you guys for the rest of the day. Tiger, I know you guys are gonna, kill it as always. So we're gonna get that all set up. I will be taking my leave. Thank you guys so much for enduring my terrible coughing and terrible performance in game 1. But we're gonna be right back with game 2. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody, to our coverage of the AML Playoffs Round of 12. I am not Moose. I am, in fact, What to Britty, joining you from the AGL cast all the way past into last week where we just finished up our finals. And joining me here is Tiger. How you doing today, Tiger?
I'm doing well, and I appreciate you coming in on the short notice. We will wish Moose a speedy recovery, but coming back into this series, Pride Stalker Esports coming up with the clutch win in game number 1. A lot of good team fights, engages coming out. And going into game 2, Primal Instinct going to stay on the red side, so we'll see what kind of response that they're going to bring.
Yeah, staying on the red side, I think, is a pretty interesting choice here. Although, especially given the 3-ban loss, it can be a pretty big detriment for them to not have that first pick, to not give themselves the opportunity to grab a champion that might be more comfortable or something that might be a bit stronger in the meta.
Yeah, we'll see if that ends up impacting them. I think that they had opportunities in the draft from last game. Clearly, they had some ideas that they wanted to work around. I don't mind like trying to play Silas into Malphite, but they ended up picking a composition where they didn't have a lot of frontline or a lot of DPS. So it put them a little bit over a barrel when it was time to start finding some team fights.
Yeah, really relying on those Vayne moments, on the Ari popping off, trying to make something happen. They couldn't find it in that game 1. We'll have to see if they can come back as we get into the pick and ban for game 2, as Pride Stalker Esports are going to be taking away the Jarvan, the Melio, and we're waiting on their last ban right now.
Yeah, I think that these are the same as last game. I can't remember what the last one was, but I can't imagine it will change. They're probably just trying to remember themselves what it was before. It was the Annie. That was it. I remember now. So we're looking pretty similar to the draft from game number 1 thus far.
Yeah, and that is going to be the Jinx insta-locked first again. Not too shocking to see that one, given how well it performed in game 1. And we're going to be seeing the Gragas run back alongside that Thresh. So far, the draft is looking very similar.
Yeah, gonna be stealing away the Gragas this time, trying to make sure that Pride Stalker have a little bit more difficulty of setting up the plays from Heogre's Jinx. Avius, of course, was popping off on it throughout the early game. Went to a point 8-1-2 on the Gragas. It kind of mellowed out after that. It became the Heogre show, but still able to utilize that effectively. And since it's a flex pick, I think that it's going to get some value here. I'm imagining that Tano-san will be picking this one up, but could still go towards that top lane for sprint, or even to Jadrian in the mid lane potentially.
Yeah, we will be seeing also the Braum locked in again, that bottom lane duo of the Jinx and the Braum for Pride Stalker Esports. And I have to say, into the Thresh, I really, really like this. Braum does such a good job of disengaging, of keeping Jinx safe. He really is one of those best, like, anti-engage peeling frontliners alongside the likes of like Tarek and Melio. So to get that one paired up with Jinx already in this first round of the draft, I think is a really strong start for Pride Stalker Esports.
I was a little bit surprised last game to see the Braum. I was kind of in the back of my head expecting, all right, we're probably going to see Lulu. Jinx Lulu's just been kind of what teams have been going towards. But I definitely saw a lot of good value from Eric Northman on the Braum. So definitely not a champion that I'm sad to see coming back up. But I'm happy to see that Primal Instinct putting a little bit more value in the early game around that bottom side. Meal's going to be picking up the Caitlyn.
Yeah, Caitlyn does have a fairly comfortable matchup into Jinx in the early game. It's one of those champions that really can match her on that pre-level 6 rocket range, try and bully her out of the lane before she starts to snowball and get too far ahead. And I think paired up with a support who can play pretty aggressively like Thresh, and we saw the Thresh performance that happened in that game 1, this is a potential to have a much better winning bottom lane, and I think something that's a little bit more consistent than the Vayne than we saw in that game 1.
I think that from what I've seen of the draft from Primal Instinct, last game they had a lot of flexibility going into the second half of the draft, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. This time they've got a little bit more direction going into the second half of their draft, so it should be a little bit easier to follow up on, and then that gives them the opportunity to maybe utilize their counter pick without it like making the team comp feel awkward.
Yeah, and speaking of making the team cops a little bit awkward, the next round of ban phases is going to come through, and both of the Ari and the Malphite that we saw in the last game are going to be taken away, so Sword will not have his hands on that beefy frontliner again. And Primal Instinct are going to grab the Cassante for themselves as their blind top lane.
Yeah, I'm imagining that that is correct in the top lane. I've seen it played mid before, but that's some fringe cases, and it's some high level play, of course. So I'm thinking Sprint going to want to take this one. Casante's a pretty good blind. I mean, there's not a lot of champions that can super hard punish him. Going to be running into one of the less favorable matchups, of course. The counterpick top 4 sword going to be the Gwen. Going to be able to do a lot of DPS. And we've kind of gotten a shift in the styles, kind of trading in a little bit of a sense here, where now Primal Instinct are the team that have a big, beefy front line that's going to want to engage straight forward, try to set up some picks. And for Pride Stalker, they've got a lot more of the skill-based matchups. I think that they're in a little bit better position to take advantage of them than Primal Instinct necessarily was in the last game, but they're definitely amping up the burden of execution on themselves.
Yeah, I think burden of execution is a great way to put it. The Gwen gonna have a fantastic lane matchup into the Cassante. We'll be able to match him blow for blow in terms of damage, but once you get later into the game, it's not going to provide as much of that safe front line for the Jinx as that Malphite did in game 1. And if you do lock a tank into the Cassante, you're basically throwing away your laning phase and saying, hey, Cassante, you get to do whatever you want. I'll wait for like 25, 30 minutes before I can start playing the game. And it looks like the mid lane matchup is going to be decided as well with the Syndra versus the Orianna, a matchup that used to be fairly common a couple of seasons ago, but has fallen out of favor recently.
I think that people have gotten down a little bit on Orianna because her damages are a little bit lower. I think that she still does the same essential roles, but she just doesn't have as much opportunity right now as she used to get solo kills. So at this point, I think that with the way that Primal Instinct are set up, picking the Orianna makes sense. There's a lot of good ways to utilize the passing off the ball, set up some shockwaves coming through. And now the pick is just getting even bigger for Primal Instinct. They're going to be able to isolate a member with the Cassante ultimate and then hit him with the cask, hit him with the shockwave, and then put him on a Caitlyn trap with a good flay. And that just means that if you get hit by the first thing, there's almost nothing you can do about getting hit by all the rest of it. Going to be a lot of value out of this Braum this game, I think. Trying to save maybe a member getting picked off. So got my eyes on Eric Northman to try to counteract some of the strengths of Primal Instinct's comp.
Yeah, that Unbreakable really going to be a big deal working versus the explosive cask, the thresh hook, and that Orianna ball, just trying to make sure that those ball delivery services cannot get to the backline. You really want to be keeping the Jinx and the Syndra safe. In the meantime, Gwen and Wukong are going to be trying to do the same to the enemy Caitlyn, but she's got a lot of beefy frontline in front of her, so I think they've got a difficult job ahead of themselves.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, but I think that Pride Stalker showed that they've got some strengths last game, particularly around the team fighting stage. Hey Ogre popping off in game number 1, able to find a lot of multi-kills in key positions. And it's now on Primal Instinct to show that they've still got some fight left in them this series. I like what they've done in draft. Now they've just got to show that they can execute upon it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they can execute stepping into this game 2. We've seen the pick and ban, we've seen the drafts. We'll have to see how both these teams can execute on it coming into this game 2. We're going to take a short break before we hop into Summoner's Rift, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for the AML round 12.
Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Oh, 15 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here for Game 2 of Pride Stalker Esports versus... I'm totally blanking on the second team's name. It is Primal Instincts Masters. That's the name. Apologies. Still working out all the kinks with the new teams that I'm working with here. We're getting into Game 2. Pride Stalker took Game 1 in a fairly decisive fashion after getting some nice Jinx resets, but already in Game 2, we're getting a little bit of shenanigans as Primal Instincts are setting up on the bottom side here.
Commissioner able to land a few good hooks in the first game. They don't have vision in the brush just yet, so they couldn't know exactly where Hey Ogre is, but they could take a guess if they wanted to. Not gonna go for it just yet, but we will be seeing the junglers go for quite a few ganks, I'd imagine. We had quite the aggressive early game in game number 1, What to Britty, so I'd expect there to be a lot of fighting going on, particularly around this bottom lane. We saw a lot of trades going down, but there wasn't kill threat. And now that the Caitlyn is there, I think the kill threat has arrived. So I'm hoping that we'll see some fighting in the 2v2, maybe turning it into a 3v2 at some point.
Yeah, like we talked about in the draft, Caitlyn providing a lot more pressure in the early laning phase as opposed to the Vayne, as just a little bit of trading on the bottom side. I think they spotted the fact that Niels might have warded that. They might expect it, but nobody had perfect vision on it. So potentially, if Aegis wants to try and make something happen, having down, I think he'll be down here after that ward clears itself. So we'll have to see what Aegis wants to do with that happen. But it does look like both junglers are going to start on the top side of the map.